All right, everybody, final one for segment 4. Let's talk a little bit about mass wasting. Maybe I wish I saved a bit more time for it, but what are you going to do? We'll go from chapter 15 in your book a little bit. I'm not going to do separate notes because I'm going to really limit this one down. And what I'm also going to throw in there, because I think it's really concise and great, are these two PDFs put out up in the Pacific Northwest where there are significant landslide issues as like infographic leaflets, because they break it down, some of the stuff that maybe I'll ask in a very simple and concise way with little graphics that help out a lot, including how gravity, water, and friction can all contribute. And that's probably about as deep as we'll go, that and a few of the types, and we can call it good. So the couple things to mention there, it basically comes down to where is the force that pulls things down slope going to be significant enough to overcome the forces that are fighting and keeping the slope intact. So what can go and lead to that? I think the easiest one to picture is water, because I mean, if you get something completely soaking wet, I think you can picture in your head fairly easily what a mudslide would look like in that case, right? But keep in mind that can also happen and create other types of mass wasting by it happening in specific layers. If you were to zoom in on some sediment particles, because they all have these angular shapes and they interact with each other, there's going to be a force of friction that holds them together and keeps them stable. Add water to that, to some degree, still okay. Add too much water, and what you can do is, with that water pressure in the pore spaces, shove those particles apart a little bit to where they're not in contact with each other, to where their friction is no longer keeping them intact, and that can trigger the slide. More complicated than that, bedding planes can also do it, or even planes between, like, where there's different types of soil developed as you go down. But what angle are those planes relative to the surface, relative to the pre-existing slope, to where if they're perpendicular to that is going to be relatively more stable than when they're parallel to that, because here these may be like a plane of weakness where if something happens within that, this whole section can slide down. And you know what? Other than the types, I don't think we want to get too much more complicated. Give me one quick sec to look. Yeah, exactly. So check out, this is out of the textbook. This is a very sad scenario for some of the folks that lived here, where this whole entire section came down and shot across this valley at unbelievable speeds. There's a really good Nova out there on that if you look for it. And you see where it's a little bit, let's make that'd be like the pre-existing surface up here towards the top, that kind of flattened down with the rest of this then shooting across the valley. And it did. There were some fatalities in this. It was some pretty sad stuff. Depending on where you live, this is maybe, more or less of an issue. The classification. So this is very concise right here. Check that out. And then this data table is pretty concise right here. Check that out. And then match it with what I had in that PDF over there. That can be the little bit of quick studying you do for this or use as a resource. Again, I think this one's a little bit better, but I'll put them both up. You do your pick, see what they have in common, and check out a couple of those types. And this top section right here does a great job of illustrating what I was mentioning earlier, that the difference between the stability and instability based on that slope and what forces are successful pulling down versus what forces are resisting that. All right, I know that's quick. We did more with rivers. The test when I compose it will be to that ratio as well. I won't put a ton of stuff on this because it didn't come up until the last day. We'll focus more on the things we did earlier in the module, in the course segments. Hope you're doing well, and good luck on the test, everybody. Take care.